observe.
Happy graduation! Whoop, whoop.
No doubt.
Wow.
Let's start our tour.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first of all,
Yeah, let's start with your name.
yeah, welcome to the historical and the famous and the medieval city of Gondar. Let me introduce my name again. My name is Hagos, which means joy or happy. So I'm the happiest one, thanks to my Lord.
Give thanks.
Yeah. So before we proceed about the history of each castle, let's say about the highlight of Gondar. You know, Gondar is established or founded by Emperor Fasilides. Fasilides, he was the founder of Gondar, and he founded Gondar in the year 1636. He founded it at the third permanent capital city of Ethiopia, next to Aksum and Lalibela, before the power, and moved to Addis Ababa in the 19th century because of Emperor Menelik II, the one who defeated the Italians at the Battle of at the victory of Adwa, before he moved his capital in the 19th century to Addis Ababa, to the youngest capital city of Ethiopia at this time. Before moved to Addis, Gondar was everything. Gondar, the last 250 years old, Gondar was the center of calligraphy, cross-making, theology, painting, architecture, both secular as well as religious music were flourishing Gondar. It was used as a political center, economic and social center for the Solomonic dynasty, next to Aksum and Lalibela. Even it was a center of grammar school, law school, many things, iron smelting, cross-making, calligraphy, literature was established in the medieval time in the 17th and 18th century here in Gondar. So we call it in short, Gondar was a center of excellency. It was everything in here. And you know what were the reasons why Emperor Fasilides, why he came to Gondar, the emperor? He had three major reasons to come to Gondar. The first reason is that Gondar was free from malaria. Even we don't have malaria at this time. Because of very high altitude, the average altitude of Gondar is 2,260 meters above sea level. It had temperate climate, very jungle, forested area, green area, very mountainous. But his father, because he came from Bahardar is found at the southern tip of Lake Tana, which is 185 kilometers far from Gondar. It takes 3 hours surface road. But on the northern side, on the other side of Bahardar, there is Lake Tana. In Lake Tana, on the bank of Lake Tana, there is another palace, Gorgora Palace, which is by Emperor Sicinius in the medieval time as his palace, his father's palace. It's located like 1,700 meters like Bahardar. So it's hot. There is malaria mosquito there. So in Lake Tana, in Gorgora Palace, where his father lived there around 4 years, and his palace there is so many malaria at that time. So a lot of people died because of malaria. The main reason why he came to Gondar, because Gondar was free from malaria. That's the main reason. And the second reason why he chose Gondar, the Emperor Fasilides, because of two fresh rivers. Gondar is endowed with two fresh rivers. One is called Angara. From this river, you will see it from your hotel. We made an artificial dam, a man-made dam like 20 years ago. So we get tap water, drink water for Gondar from this dam. We'll see it when we drive to the church. And the second time, there is another river by the second name, River Kaha. Every year, the swimming pool, the bath of King Fasilides, once in a year we celebrate Epiphania, Timkat, to commemorate the baptism of Jesus Christ. One Jesus baptized in the hand of John the Baptist in the Jordan River. To remember that, we do it in a colorful way here in Gondar, but it's celebrated all over the country. Very historical and very colorful here in Gondar. We go to that place, we will see it. So because a pool is filled from that nearby river, every year there is 1,000 meters, there is a canal, a kind of sluice gate where water is coming from the river directly to the pool because of water. And the third reason is that, you know, Rome is founded on a seven hill because of two brother kings, the capital of Italy, Rome, Roman Empire. Rome is founded on a seven hill because two brothers, Remus and Remulus, they were raised by the wolf because the mother died, so they were raised by the wolf. So the same to that, Gondar is founded on a seven hill. To the north, east and west, there is a chain of mountain, big mountain, to the airport. On the way to Bahardar, a very flat plain area. Being a mountainous area, the emperor saw the place as a strategic position, very defensive tower, a strategic position. By its nature, a mountain can't give us a barrier to the enemies. Because of that strategic position, he chose Gondar. And thanks temperate climate, Gondar can grow different kind of cereal crops. Gone at the end of the 16th century, 16, or at the beginning of the 17th century, 17. Gondar is the main trading route, long distance trader, caravan merchants. When they arrive Gondar, they use gone at the dry port, one trading going to border town with Sweden called Metama, and they reach there is we call Nubia, what we call present Sweden, and they reach as far as Egypt to the land of the eagle. The other route, which is going from Gondar, they proceed to Dapark, which is a getaway for Simi Mountain National Park, one of the World Heritage Sites, which is 100 kilometers, and there is the most dramatic road called Lima Limo, the western escarpment of the Simi Mountain National Park, a most dramatic road, zigzag road, which is very full of like a waterfall, natural waterfall, and many like the baboons, different birds. So they crossed that one, the gorge of that dramatic road, Lima Limo, which is the western escarpment, Simi Mountain National Park, and they crossed the gorge of Tekaze River, one of the tributary river. When it joined to outside Ethiopia, it's called Atbara, you know. So they would join to Nile, to the longest river in the world. Then they reach the town of Aksum and Adwa. Then they branch it out. One, they cross to the port of Aduli, the main port of the Aksumite civilization, a port of Zeyla, Tajura, or a port of Massawa, which is in the present day Eritrea. Because of that, they use Gondar as the dry port. They call it Gondar, a metropolis of commerce. These are the major reasons. The first one, free from malaria. Second, water. Third, because of mountain, very strike position. And the others like trading route, and also it had very temperate climate, very favorable climate to grow different kind of cereal crops. These are the major reasons why Emperor Fasilides, he came to Gondar and he started to build his own castle and many impressive buildings. When we come to this compound, we call this compound a royal enclosure, a royal compound. It's a castle compound. It has 70,000 square meters or approximately 7 hectares. Within the 7 hectares, we'll visit 6 beautiful castles built by 6 different kings, different times. And at the 6 castles, we'll see a lion cage, a symbols, an archive, a library, many impressive buildings, so on. So among the 6 beautiful castles, the oldest and the most impressive castle, which is built by Emperor Fasilides, the founder of Gondar, is that one. That's the main icon of Gondar. It has 30 meters up from the ground with an area of 25 meters with 25 meters with a 4-story palace. The first story it has 3 different rooms. The ground one, when we start, it has more than 20 different rooms. It's a huge dining hall. There is a wine cellar for making honey wine, honey mitai, the one in Four Sisters. They use fermentation biotech for making honey wine from organic honey, honey meat. Is in long tradition of fermentation or biotechnology, and there is a butcher house for preserve meat in a traditional way, to cool water and different beverages. And His Majesty Imperial Haile Selassie, the last king of Ethiopia, in 960, the ground part used as a local court for the local people in here, because Haile Selassie he had no palace in Gondar. His palace was in Addis. To go to Addis Ababa, that time it takes 748 kilometers, so it takes 1 month to go there. So the local people, there is no any car that time, transportation means. So that time it takes them 1 month to go there on foot, walking. So that time during Majesty Imperial Haile Selassie, the ground part used by a local court, by the local people here. And when we come to the second story, it has 3 different rooms. The first one is a reception room, what we call today modern salon. And the second, a dining hall for the king. And the next room is a dining hall for the queen. For some time, because of influence from Muslim, the king and the queen, they ate separately. But they knew that that's not their real culture. That's not their forefathers' culture. They stopped and now used to eat together. Even we do it this time. When we have wedding, Christian wedding, we just eat together, we just have everything. But a Muslim, when they have wedding this time even, they are not eating together. After they make a wedding tale, they ate separately. They made a partition not to see each other, or some occasions. But a Christian, we simply sit together. Like as the apostles, they stayed together with Jesus Christ, to their Lord. Yeah, like sometimes we make like a round table, these things. And the third story used like as a prayer room, like as a chapel room. When you see round the castle, you can see such conical tower. We call this conical tower egg castle. Actually, it's not made from egg because the shape it looks like half egg structure, because that's what we call egg castle, and this is typical of the Gondar architectural style. We couldn't find other than we got from Ethiopia. This is typical of the Gondar architectural style. What they build these things in order is that just to hold support, as maintaining as a support, and after build that they use for two purpose. We go inside. The first one served as a window as a guard room to protect him from his enemies day and night actively. And there are 3 windows, 3 times 4 round. There are 12 windows. They symbolize the 12 apostles of Jesus Christ. In front of each window, the emperor, within and outside this compound, he built 7 churches. He built 2 churches in this compound, St. Mary Church, St. George. The 5 churches are built outside this compound. So he never went to the church like the ordinary people that do not die, because he was King of Kings, elect of God, chosen by God. So he had his own priestess as well as deacon inside his palace. It's like as a church, as a monarch, as a palace, everything. So he never went to the church like mixing to the ordinary people that time, because he was a king, he's a lord that time. Because people they associate, they taught him the king is like God that time. And when we come to the 4th story, you couldn't see it because there is a juniper pine tree. There is a second small balcony from the top, from the very right side. There is a small balcony. That was the bedroom of the king. And the last tower where the flags float, that's the battlement semi-square tower, which is the watching tower. From that watchtower, the emperor, he can see as far as he can. He can see the panoramic view of the Lake Tana, the biggest lake in Ethiopia. Even to see the monasteries, which is very close to Gondar, on the northern side, on the bank of Lake Tana, which is 65 kilometers from the direction of Gorgora to his father's palace, where it's located. So, and to see if enemies are coming from different areas, an enemy is coming this way. So to defend themselves, they prepare themselves by watching them from that tower. If one of the guests, His Excellency come in one of the, His Excellency is coming to this area. So to have a warm welcome reception, they just prepare themselves in this compound. That's the use of the tower. When you see from the main castle, you can see wooden balcony, and the second one, for the shop of the crown, we call it proclamation window. When there was a proclamation, the emperor sat on his proclamation there, what we call the mouth of the king, the spokesperson, mouth of the king. He stand the big balcony there, and the people they gather in front of the main castle in the facade. Whenever the king says something to his people, he will repeat what the king says, like in the form of echo, like a speaker, and he address all day to the subject of the king in here. Because they have to talk 1 hour or half an hour. He has said too much because there was a matter of protocol or status. Because of that, that guy was responsible all day to the subject of the king here. And to build the big castle, the main castle, it took them 15 years, 15, which is the oldest and the main castle, having 400 years old. And to build all this castle, the church, and many impressive buildings, they use for locally produced raw material, which is not imported outside, a local mat from this region. Want to make arch for the door, for the window, they use such a red volcanic tuff. It looks like brick-like structure, very light, we can chisel out. So they use such a red volcanic tuff, like this brick-like, we call like Lalibela kind of stone this. We carve out from the Rocky churches. So we call Lalibela like Petra of Jordan, one of the 7 wonders of the world. Lalibela is the 8 wonders of the world. But for us, it should be in one of the 7 World Heritage Sites, I say World Heritage Site, it should be one of the 7 wonders of the world. And so they use this red volcanic tuff. Red is light, we can chisel, we can give different shape. And the second, they use African ebony, black African wood, like mahogany, rosewood, grown in the tropical regions, very strong wood. And the third, they use volcanic stone, basaltic stone, which has come out from volcanic eruption. Many million years ago, volcano erupted in Ethiopia. That's why in East Africa, there is a big mountains like Kilimanjaro, Mount Keru, Kenya, like Rasdeshan Mountain. We have different kinds of mountain peaks, more than having 4,000 meters above sea level. Ethiopia is the roof of Africa, because even the Great Rift Valley is passed through Ethiopia. Many African countries, around 15 countries, start from Mozambique to ends up in Dead Sea. So they use this volcanic stone. We don't have cement that time, 400 years ago. And instead of cement, they use cement to plaster to fix the stones. They use lime mortar, calcium carbonate, and they buried to the ground 7 up to 8 years. It undergo different chemical reaction. And they took that one just to plot to fix the stone. What we use this time, made to attach the stone or to the wood. They use such lime mortar. Within this for locally produced from art, they built all this castle and many impressive buildings. Who built them? We say Ethiopians have built all these things. This is an indigenous Ethiopian civilization, which is continue what we have from the past, from the rock-hewn church of Lalibela, from the Axumite palace. The Axumite, they have a very sophisticated and a big, very sophisticated palace before and after the birth of Jesus Christ. Because of inside and outside war, everything's collapsed this time. Different. King Izana, King Caleb, they have different palace, very huge palace. Even no one is comparable in Europe this time, that time. And rock-hewn church of Lalibela, rock-hewn church of Tigray. Even we have the first historical capital city of Ethiopia, a pre-Axumite civilization, Yeha, a temple of the moon. Everything the continuity from that, not inherited from somewhere. It's indigenous Ethiopian African civilization. And so there was the best engineer by the name Ras Welde Georgis. Ras is given next to the king, the one who held the highest position in the country, meaning like King Mecca. And well, Welde Georgis means like a son of like Saint George. Yeah, you know, they have different biblical names, like religious names, but all they have a servant of or a slave of God. And also there was a base designed by the name Gabra Christos. Gabra means slave, Christos means like Christ, a slave of Christ. So very indigenous, very beautiful indigenous African civilization, Ethiopian civilization, not inherited from us. Some they say like, it had an influence from outside, like Portuguese, Moorish, they say like that, but not that one. Even they say Lalibela is built by, they say by the Knight Templar, by the Freemason. No. Yeah. So, and when you come to here, there is a ruined building you can see here. It's covered, it's connected that building. We call it Rainbow Castle, like rainbow, an arched ceiling. And the whole compound, you know the ancient city Jericho in the Bible, Jericho had a wall. To the same to that, we had this fortified wall having a radius of 900 meters. This fortified, we do have 12 gates round to symbol the 12 apostles of Jesus Christ. A main gate that we are coming is called the gate of the judge. The might during the time of the king, the entrance through that gate, and there is a second gate, the gate of the king, the imperial gate, where the king sees to and not from this compound. There was a big tower. It was destroyed by the war. When they are coming from the gate of the king, the principal, the imperial gate, they use this rainbow castle as the main entrance, and they go to the big castle. When the king's soldiers, when they won a battle, the king gives a different title, different reward for his troops, soldiers in here. When his big official, dignitaries, the nobles, when they came here, before they met him, the king, directly, before they go inside the main castle, they waited him, being used this place as a kind of waiting room, as a waiting list. Because there is a protocol, you know. They shouldn't run, you know, to find the king. There is steps, you know, a hierarchy. So it was covered. All the castles were destroyed because of two different wars. One, because the Dervish, the secular people from Sudan, neighboring country, they came, mostly they burned it 40, and some they attacked this castle. But a majority destruction, it came from the British air bombardment. Because the Italians, once after they lost at the Battle of Adwa, they came for the second time just to colonize Ethiopia. During their 5-year occupational period, from 1936 up to 1941, that's the Second World War, the Italian general by the name General Nasi used this compound for his military base headquarters. So when the Italians, when they were asked to leave from Ethiopia, and that time His Majesty Haile Selassie went to London. In London he delivered his beautiful speech at the League of Nations, what we call today United Nations. Even he spoke at Geneva in Switzerland that Ethiopia had, the Italian had done an aggression, to Ethiopia. Because of that, the British pretending helping Ethiopia, they came from Eritrea, Kenya, Sudan, with their British General Sanford Wiget, what we could present today. Somalia, it's divided straight, French Somalia, Italian Somalia, Britain Somalia. The British, they lifted the British for, so as to the Italian to evacuate the British, they came with plane. And they bombed the 5 castles and many impressive buildings. Actually, they did it intentionally because they don't want to see palace out of England. They go to Scotland, Ireland, they destroy castles in Germany as well. not to help us. They should use other means instead of to help us, that time. If they want to try, if they try to help Ethiopia, they should use other means. Even our forefathers, as soon as they left out from the compound, the British came and they bombed it. So now we go to the second palace. Whenever you have any kind of question, you just raise and asking
I
me.
have a question.
Okay.
Maybe you said it and I missed it, but what are the beads represent on top of the...
The bit like the battlements. Sometimes they used to defend, like they put the cannons there, and they had themselves and like defending, like a fortress, a kind of fortress. Yeah.
Okay, and I want you to show me the prayer room when we get to it.
Yeah, the prayer room is in the top. You see this conical tower? Yes, close one. The windows are closed. There are 3 windows each. Conical towers, 3 times 4, around 12. They symbol the 12 apostles. In front of each window, in front of he built churches. In front of his treasury, he built St. Mary Church. In front of his square, he built St. Michael Church and there is a St. Abuna Gabriel Manfas Kedus. I will show you in the painting. In front of his square he built, there is a Church of Christ.